When Harold woke up that morning, he didn't plan to change his life. He only wanted to breathe without feeling his heart pounding like a drum inside his chest. The dawn crept through the curtains of his small Minnesota home. The air was still. His old clock ticked louder than usual. On the kitchen table lay a half-empty bottle of pills, a blood pressure cuff, and an untouched cup of coffee. He stared at the pills for a long while. They had become his morning ritual. One for pressure, one for cholesterol, one for sleep. He sighed, his voice barely a whisper. Mary used to make sure I took these on time. That name, Mary, hung in the air like a ghost. His wife had been gone for 3 years now. Since then, he'd lived mostly in silence. He stopped going to church. He stopped walking down to the mailbox some days. The world outside his window kept moving, but Harold had quietly stopped. One morning, at his doctor's visit, Dr. Johnson looked over Harold's numbers. He frowned slightly, then smiled gently. Your body still wants to help you, he said. You just have to give it a reason. Harold chuckled. At my age, my body's given up. But Dr. Johnson shook his head. No, Harold, it's waiting for you. The doctor slid a sheet of paper across the desk. 5 simple exercises. Not a prescription, not another pill. Just movement. Gentle, steady, forgiving. Harold took the paper home, folded it, and left it on his table for 3 days. On the 4th, something made him unfold it again. At the top, in clean blue letters, it read, Step 1, brisk walking. That morning, he stepped outside for the first time in months. The air was cool, sharp. The sun stretched across empty streets, painting the frost in gold. He hesitated at the edge of his driveway. His knees ached, his back protested. But then, almost stubbornly, he began to walk. 1 step, then another. The sound of his shoes against the pavement echoed like a slow drumbeat, a rhythm that had been missing for years. He reached the corner of his street before his breath grew short. He turned back, sweating lightly, heart fluttering but smiling. He hadn't smiled in a while. The next day, he walked again. And again. Within 2 weeks, his legs no longer burned. The ache was replaced by something quieter. Ease. His sleep deepened. His mornings felt lighter. And one day, when he checked his blood pressure at home, the number had dropped. 10 points. He couldn't believe it. He looked out his window at the morning sun and whispered, You did it, old man. Dr. Johnson was right. His body hadn't given up. It was waiting. Days turned into weeks. Harold began to crave his morning walks. He'd greet the mailman, pet a neighbor's dog, wave at the kids waiting for the school bus. Each smile returned to him like a small piece of life coming back. But something else had begun to weigh on him. The chair. In the living room sat Mary's old wooden chair, the one she used to knit in while listening to the radio. He hadn't touched it in months. One afternoon, he sat down in it, staring at his trembling hands. Then, almost on impulse, he tried to stand up. Slowly, without using his arms. His knees cracked, his legs wobbled. He sat back down with a groan. He tried again, and again. By the 5th attempt, sweat dotted his forehead. He managed to stand tall for a moment before sinking back into the chair. He laughed to himself, breathless. It wasn't much, but it was something. Every day after that, he did it again. Standing up, sitting down, over and over. The chair became his training ground, his quiet battlefield. 3 weeks later, he realized something. His fear of falling had faded. He could stand longer, move steadier. When he caught his reflection in the hallway mirror, he almost didn't recognize the man staring back. There was strength in that man's posture, quiet, reclaimed strength. He told Dr. Johnson during his next visit. The doctor smiled. That's what happens when you remind your body that you still can. Weeks later came the next step, wall push-ups. Harold scoffed at first. He hadn't done a push-up since the 1960s. But Dr. Johnson laughed. These aren't military push-ups, Harold, just the wall. So one morning, he stood in his kitchen, palms flat against the cool plaster, photos of Mary and their children hanging beside him. He leaned forward slowly, pressed, and pushed back. Once, twice. He stopped halfway to catch his breath, staring at the family photos. Mary's smile looked the same, steady, patient, proud. He pushed again. The wall didn't move, of course, but something inside him did. By the end of the week, 10 push-ups felt natural. His arms steadied his frame, his breathing deepened. And when he returned for his checkup, his doctor smiled again. "Your heart sounds different," Dr. Johnson said. Harold grinned. "Feels different, too." It was never about building muscle. It was about reclaiming agency, the simple truth that he could still choose strength. At night, when the house was quiet, he'd lie on the couch watching the news, his legs resting on a pillow. He started lifting them slowly, one by one, leg raises, Dr. Johnson had called them. The first time, it felt ridiculous. But he noticed something. When his legs moved, the heaviness faded. The blood no longer pooled in his ankles. He felt warmth again. He remembered the story of Ethel from Illinois. Dr. Johnson had mentioned her. She was 81, afraid to walk to the corner store. After 3 weeks of leg raises, she said, "I stopped feeling fragile." That word stayed with him, fragile. He didn't want to feel that way anymore. So he lifted his legs higher, held them longer, breathing in rhythm. Slow. Controlled. Each repetition was a conversation with his body, a quiet promise. "I'm still here. I'm still trying." The days passed gently, like pages turning in a book. Morning walks turned into small adventures. Chair squats became his morning ritual, wall push-ups before breakfast, leg raises before bed. And little by little, Harold's world changed shape. His daughter visited one weekend. She stared at him in surprise. "Dad, you look younger," he smiled. "No, sweetheart, just less tired." That night, as she drove away, Harold stood at the window, watching the taillights fade into the dark. For the first time in years, he didn't feel the ache of loneliness. He felt alive. 6 months later, the snow melted, the trees bloomed again. And one morning, Harold put on his walking shoes and climbed the small hill behind his house, the same one he and Mary used to walk every summer evening. Halfway up, he paused, catching his breath. The wind brushed through the tall grass, carrying the faint smell of pine and earth. He reached the top just as the sun rose. He looked out over the quiet town, eyes glistening. There was no medicine bottle in his pocket today. Just steady breath, a calm heart, a peaceful smile. It wasn't youth he had regained. It was peace. The view stretched far, rooftops glowing gold, the river shining like glass. He closed his eyes and whispered, "Thank you." Maybe to the doctor, maybe to Mary, maybe to life itself. Later that morning, Dr. Johnson opened his laptop and saw Harold's message in his inbox. Blood pressure stable, no new meds, still walking. Still moving, still here. He smiled and typed back one line. "Keep going, Harold. The heart always remembers kindness, especially your own." And somewhere, across small towns and quiet living rooms, others were doing the same. Men and women in their 70s, 80s, lifting their legs, standing from chairs, walking through hallways. No gym, no audience, no applause, just quiet persistence. Because healing doesn't happen in grand gestures. It happens in the small, gentle choices we make when no one's watching. Maybe you know that feeling too. The stiffness in the morning, the doubt, the whisper that says, "It's too late." But what if it's not? What if your body is still waiting for you, just like Harold's was? You don't have to move fast. You just have to begin. One step, one breath, one quiet strength at a time. Because every movement, no matter how small, is an act of defiance against giving up. And maybe, months from now, you'll stand taller. You'll feel steadier. You'll walk outside one morning, feel the breeze, and realize you didn't just lower your blood pressure, you raised your life back up. So tell me, where are you watching from today? Maybe you're in a warm living room, maybe by a window overlooking the street. Wherever you are, remember, This isn't the end of your story. It's a new chapter, one your heart has been waiting to write. If Harold could do it, so can you. He started with one small walk. You can start today. Move gently, breathe deeply. And when doubt comes, remember this. Your body still remembers how to heal. It's only waiting for you to say yes. The journey doesn't end here. It begins now, with one quiet, beautiful step. Thank you for spending this moment with me. If this story moved you, share it. Someone out there needs to know it's never too late. Until next time, take care of your heart, your breath, your small steps. They're leading you home.